Oh, hello. This is the Oh Hello podcast with me, John Wayland, Isaac, and Colin coming to you with today's episode. Today we will be doing a draft review. We'll be talking about draft surprises, draft busts, and draft winners and losers. I expect very heated debates out of this day's episode, and we'll see what's happened. I'll start off by going with my draft surprise. I think Ty Simpson going at 13 was a surprise. But I don't think it was a massive reach like everybody else does. I don't even think it was a wasted pick. Um, I think the Rams found a diamond in the rough with him. And you put this his arm talent and his accuracy. I already spoke on the last episode about how I felt like he was the most accurate quarterback in the draft. You put him under a guy to learn from a year or two, under a guy like MVP Matthew Stafford, and tell me in 3 years we're calling this a reach. In 3 years we're calling this a good draft pick. And we can't be so surprised because we've seen this before. We've seen it with Brett Favre. We've seen it with Jordan Loves. We've seen quarterbacks get drafted early in the first round and not start right off the bat and learn under veteran presence. Sean McVay, great offensive mindset as a coach. There's a question if he wants him there or not, but I think he'll eventually buy into the program that the GM is trying to do. I think learning under Stafford is the best thing could have happened to Ty. I don't necessarily think it's a reach because could have ended at somewhere like Arizona. I don't think it would have been too crazy for him to fall to Arizona late in the first round, early in the second when they came back to pick.
Well, here's the problem you're going to run into, John, right? You're drafting Ty Simpson, 13th overall, mind you, okay? And you're talking about a situation where he's probably not going to play significant snaps, barring injury, for 2 years minimum. I don't think any of us expect that this is Matt Stafford's last year, the way that he looked last year, playing at an MVP caliber. The other point to make about this, too, is if you are saying this is a good situation for him to develop, which I do believe that this is the best situation for him to develop, he already is a coach's kid, college coach's kid, and he already spent 4 years at Alabama being developed by guys like Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb for the last 2 years.
And he had Nick Saban. He also played under Nick.
Well, yeah, I'm aware of that. But and to be quite honest with you, you could poke holes in his development under Nick Saban because the last couple of years of Nick Saban was with Tommy Rees. Not a big Tommy Rees guy over here. I
I'm
know
not
you
either.
probably aren't either.
Not either.
How can you justify that this is a good pick when the guy's not going to see? It's a top 15 pick. You have a couple of needs for the NFC runner-ups, but dude, you got to make yourself a title contender right now if you're the Rams. Drafting Ty Simpson doesn't do that.
I think the Rams will be a title contender for the next 4 or 5 years, though. I say this is what my opinion is on Stafford. 1 year left minimum, 3 years max. I think the Rams are set up to be a Super Bowl contending team for the next 5 years. And as long as nothing significantly changes with their roster, which I can't really speak on because I don't know what the future of our organization is going to look like, then I feel like the the Rams will be successful with Ty Simpson at quarterback. You look at the weapons they got on offense. Devontae Adams is their oldest weapon, and they got Puka Nakua, who is arguably the best receiver in that.
And I don't think
Wanna
that
pitch
Ty
in here, Isaac?
Simpson I don't think that Ty Simpson was a bad pick per se. I do think that it was not a great pick at 13. I think if you wanted to go with a guy like Ty, trade back. Like there's no reason to get your second starting quarterback or second backup quarterback at pick 13, especially when you have Matt Stafford there. So at least they could have traded back into the first round, maybe even the possibly early second, and get more draft capital out of that pick. I just don't like the pick at 13. I don't think it's a bad pick, but at 13 is a reach, a really big reach. We want to talk about steals, okay? And as you know, this might be a little biased. I am a Cowboys fan, okay? Caleb Downs falling to 11 astonishes me. I think the Cowboys
Yeah.
picking up Caleb Downs at 11 was a home run, especially whenever you're retooling that secondary with Thompson, Kobe Durant, all these different guys, and especially having Caleb Downs with a guy like C.J. Parker or Christian Parker. I think that that was a steal for Dallas.
Yeah. I don't want to get into it too much because when we get into the draft bus, it's going to do with that little topic about Caleb Downs, but he was the best player in the draft. Best player in the draft. There's nobody better than Caleb Downs.
And for him to
I
fall to
understand
11,
the Raiders. That's insane. The Raiders needed a quarterback, but the Cardinals drafting a running back first round. Well, they don't even have it. They have a bridge quarterback. I mean, I don't want to get into it too
Hold
much.
on. Whoa. You're trying to sell me that the Colts should have taken Simpson that's what you're trying to sell me.
I think not necessarily him, but Caleb Downs would have been better than a running back. Ty Simpson, is Jeremiah Love better than Ty Simpson?
yes.
Yes, but a running back in the first as a top 5 pick, I can't support that.
Hold on,
Well,
but
no, when you see the value that
I mean, let's look at the
I was gonna say,
past running backs that were
good.
chose as a top 5 pick. I don't really consider one of those guys that was a top 5 pick, maybe early 2000s, with some of those guys that were busts.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see that. So, and even if you look at last year, James Conner, they had nothing there. James Conner was still a 1,000-yard rusher. If you put Jeremiah Love in any system, I think that he can go for 1,000 yards.
So were you really surprised that the Cowboys were able to get Caleb Downs?
100%. Well, I thought Mansour Delane was going to follow us. And that's another topic that we can discuss later with the Chiefs trading up to pick Mansour at what was it, 9 or 6?
Yeah.
That was shocking.
They
But
traded up from 9 to 6.
I thought that he was either going to fall to you guys, the Dolphins, or he was going to follow the Giants. And it surprised me that with Giants both picks, they passed on Caleb Downs. So yes, I'm shocked.
I'm shocked too. Yeah, but I want to get into that in the later segment when we go over draft bust because I want to talk about that then. But what was your biggest surprise, Colin?
I would probably say Ruben Bain dropping the way that he did. It was the biggest surprise to me. You're talking about a guy that was talked about as 2 through 5, maybe 2 through 6. I guess, I don't know. Like there was the floor was not supposed to be outside the top 10 for Ruben Bain, and Tampa Bay ended up getting a really good player as a result. This guy's gonna stay in his home state where he played high school football, if I'm not mistaken, where he played college ball. I mean, he's going to be a really good player. These NFL execs, they overthink this stuff all the time, and they're over here just losing crap over arm length and garbage like that. Turn on the tape. That's all I got to say. Turn on the tape, especially of his last 4 games in the playoff. He was dominant.
Yes, Ruben Bain and that whole Miami defensive line is the biggest reason they had the season they did this year, was able to make it to the national title. And how does Ruben Bain they scouts really overthink this because how does Ruben Bain go from being a top 10 pick to falling in Tampa Bay's hand? All because his arms were short. Like there's been plenty of defensive linemen with short arms in the NFL that were successful. But I mean, the guy was a dog in college. I would have took a chance on him if I was NFL GM. I mean, I was waiting for him to fall down to the Dolphins. I would have loved to see him come to the Dolphins. The Dolphins need help everywhere right now, and let the hometown boy come to Miami. I wasn't against that. He was one of the guys I had on my board to watch for.
Yep, there you go.
But I want to get into the draft bust, and this one's probably where we're going to start our argument. My number 1 bust is Fernando Mendoza. Now, hear me out before y'all attack me. I love Mendoza. I've seen him play. I think Mendoza was the best quarterback in the draft. This is not a bad take against Mendoza. This is a hate take against the Las Vegas Raiders. I know Mendoza was a Heisman winner, but the Raiders is an organization that hasn't found stability in 2 decades. It doesn't matter how good Fernando was at Indiana. things are going to be shaky in Vegas, and Mendoza's set for an uphill battle that no rookie should have to face. He'll just be another victim of the silver and black like everyone else has been. Now, do I think? I think I could very easily be proven wrong. Let Kirk Cousins start. But who is not going to start their number one pick, overall pick? And this is no hate against Mendoza. I'm not going to talk bad about Mendoza in any way. I think he was the best quarterback in the draft. He plays very, very smart football, but this is a lot different than a Kirk Cincinnati situation at Indiana. He's in a worse situation than he was at Cal. And he really wasn't even in a bad situation at Cal.
Well, I think the big problem you're going to run into here is this is the only quarterback that was really available to take early in the first round. The only quarterback that NFL execs look at and say, all right, he's going to be ready to be our face of the franchise now. The evidence of that is the Jets, who need a quarterback, the Cardinals, who need a quarterback, and a couple of other teams. I mean, you could argue the Saints need a quarterback. They decided to pass on Ty Simpson. Every single one of them, if they had the opportunity, would have taken Fernando Mendoza. So what I'm saying is, when you compare it to the rest of the draft class, not draft classes of old, draft classes of the past, it's like that Kenny Pickett conversation that you could have. Is he a bust or not? I don't really consider him a bust. He was the only first round quarterback that year. So that's why I kind of have a hard time with that conversation.
Yeah, I think the thing with the bust conversation in general, what do you consider a bust? Because people could consider Kenny Pickett a bust, but he's still a career backup. He's still going to have a job. Somebody's always going to sign him no matter what. He was a backup that got to play in the Super Bowl. That doesn't sound like a bust to me.
I mean, he didn't
And
really
and
play
I
in the
mean,
Super Bowl, but
he didn't play in the Super Bowl. Correction, John Whalen. Know your stuff, John Whalen. Come on, man.
I
But
mean,
no,
he
They
played, but like it was
they put him in when they
yeah,
were
but
up by like 40 on the Chiefs.
I mean, yeah, that's fine. But I think that Fernando is not going to be a bust, and the reason why is because to be considered a bust, you have to have some sort of high expectations at the place that you go. And as the Raiders have been kind of not very great the past couple of years, I don't think the expectations are going to be extremely high for him there. Now, I mean, there's a possibility where they could go 3-14, something like that. That would be below expectations. But I don't see them going 3-14 with Fernando. With a guy like that who has IQ, a really good IQ, I don't think that he's going to be considered a bust to Raiders fans and everyone else. Just because the expectations in Las Vegas for the Raiders are not super high.
Well, I can see that. What's your big bust?
I'm going to go with David Bailey. And the biggest reason why I want to go with David Bailey here is because they completely reach for him at 2. See, the Jets' current situation over here is, they're trading away pieces of their front 7 left and right. I mean, you as a Cowboys fan, Isaac, you know that. You were a beneficiary of it, so were the Titans.
Quinnen Williams, baby.
And they're rebuilding. Yeah, right. They're rebuilding completely on that side of the ball. And I think that they're too hungry for like the turnover aspect, that they're overreaching because of what David Bailey and that Texas Tech defense. But Bailey was able to do it too, as far as affecting and creating turnovers. And that was a theme throughout their whole draft on the defensive side of the ball. They're completely over analyzing it, or not even. I think they're completely overvaluing the turnover aspect of things. And they're not drafting the player with the highest ceiling because Aaron Glenn is desperate to save his job. But David Bailey, I mean, let's face it, I don't think he's going to be a bad player necessarily. Number 2 overall, though, I could see his career completely panning out like Jadeveon Clowney's, where he's steady and good, but he's not worth a number 2 overall pick. You have to draft somebody at number 2 with the type of ceiling for number 2. That at that position would have been a guy like Arvell Reese and Ruben Bain, not David Bailey. I don't know what they were doing.
So I'm gonna be honest. So with that pick, because I thought the Jets did really, really good night one. Don't think they won the draft overall, but I thought they did really, really good with night one. I didn't think David Bailey was the worst pick,
Thought it was pretty bad.
but I
No,
thought they did
I
really
agree
well.
with the David Bailey
What
take.
is
I do. I think that they're trying to find a guy who can somewhat fill Quinnen Williams' shoes, and I just don't think David Bailey is as good as Quinnen Williams. I don't think that he was a better prospect coming out of college. I don't see it. And for
No.
you to pass on a guy like Arvell Reese for a guy like David Bailey is crazy to me.
Yeah. I'm with you.
But my
Y'all ready?
bust, yeah, I got one bust. It was gonna be David Bailey, Bosch, but I'll go with another one, and this is gonna stir up some controversy. Hayden Proctor at pick 12 is my bust. Now, John Whalen, I know that you're a Dolphins fan and an Alabama fan. You probably love this pick, but if you turn on the tape, I just don't think Hayden Proctor was the second best tackle. I don't. I mean, it felt like the Dolphins were drafting a guy off of metrics. And if you're drafting a guy off of metrics, yes, Caden Proctor was a top 2 tackle in the draft. But if you turn on the tape, I'm not gonna lie. What's the guy that the Steelers drafted? I can't pronounce his last name. Came from Arizona State.
No, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he had better tape.
I'm not even going to try.
I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name. He had better tape than Caden Proctor.
Yeah.
Guy from Northwestern,
Well, I
tackle out
will
of
say
Northwestern,
this:
had better tape.
Caleb Tatarian.
Yep.
What?
I will say this about the Caden Proctor deal. I don't know if this changes your mind on the situation or not. I don't hate the Caden Proctor deal because I think he's going to be a solid guy in the NFL. But also, Miami's planning on using him as a guard and not a tackle. And I think that'll
Hold
be
up,
very beneficial.
Bro, he's not going to be able to play guard.
He's
not going to be able to play guard.
way
There's
too
just
big
no
for
way.
a guard. He's way too big.
Way too big, way too long. I mean, is he? What is he? 6'6"?
6'6", 350.
Yeah,
No,
6'6", 350.
that's
yeah.
not a guard. Ideally guards are like 6'3", 6'4", and then the like low 300s. Correct me.
But I don't
if I'm
hate
wrong.
the pick. I think this was a very offensive lineman heavy draft. I think that's one of the things this draft was strong in, as well as defensive backs and receivers. And I don't hate the pick. I think he's going to be,
No, honestly, what you just said there about receiver, and this is just kind of like a side note, but natural conversation. I feel like the top is not very good. Like, you can poke holes in the top of the receiver room, but all the way, I noticed this all the way to like the 4th and 5th round. You're finding guys out there like Elijah Surratt, who I feel like are going to be able to pop, going to be able to be a really good player in the NFL, and you just don't know what could happen with some of these later round receivers if they're going to be better than some of these first rounders. We can save that conversation a little bit and just kind of keep it in the back of our heads, but that's my takeaway.
So, you ready? I got a second bust, and it's not a player.
Go ahead.
The front office. I've seen 10 front offices fail. 10 GMs let Caleb Downs slide. I've done said it once this episode, and I'm going to keep saying it. Caleb Downs is the best player in this class. He's a Jim Thorpe winner. He can play nickel. He can play safety. He can play linebacker. He won a lot trophy. And 2 teams in the division, the Cowboys got him. Now, the Giants, who passed up on him, is going to have to play him twice a year. The Commanders, who passed up on him, is going to have to play twice a year. And they looked at him. They looked at him and literally said, "No, I'm good. We'll go somewhere else."
Hold up. Where else did they go, though? Like, that's
Giants,
what's important, though.
They took an offensive lineman.
Okay, and they took an edge rusher, too.
And the Commanders took Sonny Styles at 7. And look, don't get me wrong. Sonny Styles is a playmaker, but he's not a Caleb Downs.
Okay, and
I don't disagree.
Out of 11 GMs, the Cowboys were the only one away. Jerry Jones was the only one away.
Boss, you might hate me, but I personally feel like Sonny Styles got drafted at 7 because of his combine performance. If you turn on the tape with Sonny Styles, there's some plays where I honestly think that he struggles making a what's the word that I'm looking for? Making a textbook tackle. it looks like he gets bent over sometimes. And I think that's going to harm him in the league.
So
And I wish this upon nobody, but that can create injuries. It can.
no, here's the deal with Sonny Styles, and I think this is why NFL front offices are intrigued. It's not just the combine numbers. The combine numbers are great, whatever. He just started playing linebacker. Like, he was playing safety for 2.5 years before he made that transition. Like, he's not a natural when it comes to being able to make those textbook tackles. I mean, that's just, he's not used to it at the very least. And there's a little bit of development that needs to be there. But he's not unwilling to stick his nose in there. And a lot of times he's winning those battles anyway. He's a big dude. It's just technique stuff that needs to come with time. That's all it is.
For sure. But we
So,
both know that the NFL and college are two completely different games. Once you get to the NFL, you are playing the best of the best, and stuff like that does matter. And I'm just saying, if it were me, I would not have taken, a Sonny Styles or somebody like that over Caleb Downs, who is, I think, further along in development.
I guess we'll see, but they might be having him as an outside linebacker role in that defense that is kind of like 3-4 heavy, but we'll see.
and I did have one more bust, and I already hit on it already. Arizona Cardinals taking Jeremiah Love at 3.
Bust?
In 2026, you should be taking a running back at 3.
No.
I love Jeremiah Love. I love the player, but the value at 3 is insane.
Hold up, but what is a bust, dude?
Hold on, but here's my thing.
Do you not agree that he's going to have multiple 1,000-yard seasons?
The craziest
He's not
stat,
third. Just
the
like you said,
craziest
David Bailey
stat
was a number 2 pick.
in all of this is that Jeremiah Love, 10% of the time he touched the ball, he took it back for a touchdown. And that's not a top 3 pick.
So let's look at the Cardinals. Let's look where they're at. So we got Jacoby Brissett, a bridge quarterback. He's been in the league for a while. He's a bridge. He's a good bridge. Solid bridge. But that's all he ever will be. Okay. I'm not saying they should have got Ty Simpson at 3, but they need help everywhere. They could have got Caleb Downs. They could have got Arbel Reese. Okay. Then we get Jeremiah Love day 1. We're stuck hoping Carson Beck develops. They might not start him off the bat, but that's who their plan is to go with, Carson Beck. They wouldn't have got him in day 2 if that wasn't their plan.
No, I'll tell you the plan.
It's not the same as the Ty Simpson, Matt Stafford situation.
This is the Arizona's plan, okay? Listen closely, okay? They took arguably one of the best running back prospects we've seen in recent drafts, okay? This guy is going to be a stud. He's going to be a consistent 1,000-yard rusher. Now, the issue at quarterback with, you said Teddy Bridgewater is their starter as of right now. Carson Beck will forever be a backup. Jacoby Brissett, my bad. Carson Beck will forever be a backup. He will not see the field in Arizona. What they're going to do is they're going to tank in next year's draft where the quarterback room and the quarterback is a little bit deeper in that position. And that's whenever they'll draft their future guy to put alongside Jeremiah Love, which, if you ask me, is a great pick.
It's kind of what Las Vegas did, and I'm just not a fan of what Las Vegas is doing either. I mean, they've got Genty tanked with Genty and then Mendoza, but I just don't think the Raiders will ever be
pretty good defense now.
They got a pretty good
did really good.
Along with Nakobe Dean and all of them on that defensive side.
At least personnel wise.
And they also
Quay
have,
Walker.
you forget, Brock Bowers as a tight end on that offense. They have weapons on the offensive side of the ball. And now their defense, along with Clint Kubiak, is going to be great next season. And I honestly have them possibly sneaking into a wild card because of it.
Whoa. I'm
just being honest.
All right. In a division with the Broncos, Chiefs, and the Chargers.
He says, give me all my money.
Don't get me started.
Give me all my money. I'm invested in Mendoza and Kubiak.
Okay, but like you can't. We can have this discussion like TikTok.
We can have it later. Yeah, we can have it later.
I don't feel like deep diving into this.
Yeah.
Right now.
Did any of y'all see any more busts from this draft that y'all want to speak on?
Yeah, Casey Concepcion.
Oh, I'm gonna disagree with you,
Not a
man.
big fan of that pick. Okay, to Cleveland though, like to Cleveland. Cleveland does just ruin anybody in the throw game.
Hold up. So Cleveland, we can sit here and bash them all we want, but Cleveland had one of the top drafts of this year. Like if
Oh
you
no,
look
they
and go
did.
through,
Listen,
like yeah, they drafted some studs. I'm really excited about the Spencer Fano. I think he's going to be a stud for Cleveland. Can play almost all 5 positions on the offensive line. They got Casey Concepcion to put with Jerry Judy and that other wide receivers in that wide receiving core. I think that they gave Shadur some weapons, and there's nothing on the defensive side of the ball that they needed to grab. Their defense was already great. So I think Cleveland is
Yeah.
going to look decent this year.
No, I thought Cleveland actually did really well in the draft outside of that pick.
So actually, I don't want to get into it too much because in our next segment we're picking draft winners and losers. I picked 2 winners, and Cleveland Browns was one of my winners.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, they had a great draft, man. I'm just talking about this one individual pick. Every single pick down the list that
Okay.
Cleveland made was really good other than KC. And the biggest reason why is because I don't trust that Todd Monken is going to be able to use him properly. I don't think he's a good fit in Todd Monken's offense. And then I also think that when you're talking about down the field, he is not the most reliable with his hands. He is not the best pure route runner. All he is, he's an after the catch guy.
Okay,
Eh,
Colin. Let
go
me
ahead.
ask you this, Colin. How much tape have you watched on this guy? You can build a highlight reel off this guy for one game.
Bro, I've been watching Casey Concepcion since he was known as Kevin, dog. I mean, we don't need to like go crazy about this.
I mean,
I've
but
watched play. I like him in the right offense. And I don't think that Todd Monken, with the talent that Cleveland has right now, is the right offense.
All I'm saying is speed kills, and Casey Concepcion's got it.
I mean, I don't
He's
even
got
know
acceleration and speed. He's got great
what was his
acceleration off
40
the
time.
line.
He's great with the ball in his hands. I don't even care about his 40 time. He's great with the ball in his hands. Don't get me wrong. Cleveland's going to have to feed all of the mouths now because, like, you need to be able to get Jerry Judy's confidence up. He's your vet. You need to be able to feed Harold Fannin Jr. because he's clearly going to be a stud and you want to keep him for a while. You need to feed Judkins. He's your go-to running back. And now you have 2 rookie receivers in which I think Denzel Boston is the better fit for Todd Monken and what he likes to do. But I will say, the caveat to all of this is they drafted 1 guy for the outside, 1 guy for the inside. That part I really do like. But I figured they could flip it. They could have got, I don't know, I guess they probably would have picked Boston, but they could have got Jeremy Bernard, and I think Jeremy Bernard would fit in that role better.
I'm going to be honest. I like what they did on the offensive side of the ball. And I mean, if you're looking at Casey Concepcion and Denzel Boston, I think Denzel Boston, yes, he could be a better system fit. He could be more of a top producer in that system. I'm not arguing with that. But at the same time, Bosch, we, like you said, we got to determine what makes a bust. If we already know going into this season that Denzel Boston is a better system fit than Casey Concepcion, I wouldn't call Casey Concepcion a bust because Denzel Boston did better than him this upcoming season. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's fair. That's fair, I guess. I mean, hey, I had another one. You guys, I mean, look.
Do y'all have any more busts? Because
I
if
do
not,
have
I'm
one
just going
more.
to transition into my winners.
I do
All right,
have
go
one
ahead.
more.
Go ahead.
And Bosch is going to hate me
I
again.
got one more.
But Carnell Tate is my third bust. I think that if you were to get him at, picks maybe 10 through 15, maybe not, but 4 was an extreme reach. I like Carnell Tate as a player. I think that he can do some special things, but I'm going to be honest, I just don't see him as a wide receiver 1, and that's what Tennessee needs. I see him as, taking that a Jalen Waddle next to Tyreek Hill kind of way, where he needs that star wide receiver like Jeremiah Smith next to him in order for him to really produce at his max potential. So that's my third
Whoa,
wide
whoa,
receiver.
Okay.
whoa, 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 whoa. Okay.
So wait
We
a
don't
minute.
know that. We do not know that. You could have said the same thing about Emeka Ibuka, because keep in mind, Emeka, his whole career, he was next to Marvin Harrison Jr. for 2 years. He
Yeah.
was the go-to guy. And then immediately, Jeremiah Smith was the alpha in that room. It was not Emeka. So all throughout college, you saw that. And then if it weren't for injury hiccups throughout both him and the rest of the Bucs offense, he was on track to win Offensive Rookie of the Year last year.
So
So
with
you can't say
so-
that about Carnell.
with that, hold on, but with that, Emeka Ibuka, I could say is a better prospect than Carnell Tate. First off, and second off, Emeka Ibuka was not a top 4
Sure.
pick. That's the
Now-
issue.
now
that I
wait a
have
That's
with that.
fair. You know what? That's a
That's the
good
issue
point.
that I
That's a
have
good
with that.
point. But I was just
Wait a minute.
simply countering the fact that, John, you can go after this. I was just simply countering the fact that you brought up that he cannot be the Batman in a Batman Robin type of role. And I think he could be. It's just Batman was a really, really, really good Batman at Ohio
Yeah.
State. Go ahead, John.
So here's the thing about Tennessee. I'm really high on Cam Ward. You can look at it stat wise, and you probably won't be high on Cam Ward. But if you look at just a little bit of tape of Cam Ward from last year, when he was able to get the ball out, and when his receivers were able to catch the ball, he did really, really well. He was making throws you don't see none of the other 30 quarterbacks make. Okay. Now, I'm not fully ready to throw Calvin Ridley away yet. He looked potential young in his career. He got in trouble due to gambling issues. I'm still waiting for that bounce back. And if it doesn't happen this year, I will throw him away. But I think it's still possible. And there's no guarantee that Carnell Tate will be the number 1. And he doesn't have to be the number 1 as a rookie. They can still give Calvin Ridley that last chance to be the number 1.
Can we
So
move
I like
on?
it. I
Can
like
we
the
move
pick.
on to winners and losers here, because we're kind of transitioning into that right now.
But Marvin Harrison Jr., bust. Emeka Ibuka, not.
Okay, so let's play a game real quick, Vols, just to kind of go with this topic. When I bring up Carnell Tate as a prospect, I'm going to bring up let's start with a couple other Ohio State receivers, and then I might branch off to a couple other receivers. Okay, Carnell Tate or Garrett Wilson?
Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson.
As a prospect, remember that. Chris
Yeah.
Olave?
I'll take Carnell over Chris Olave.
No, I'll take Chris Olave. I
Emeka?
like Chris Olave. Emeka, yeah, I already said.
I'll take Emeka over Carnell Tate. Emeka was pretty good, big guy in college.
All right, Marv.
No, Marv.
Carnell Tate.
No, Marv. As a
I'm with
prospect,
John on that
Marv.
one. Listen, when it comes to Marv, his route running and lack of ability to create separation was a big red flag for me, and it's kind of showing. All right. Well, how about Brian Thomas Jr. as a prospect? You think he's better than him?
As a prospect, yes.
Ooh, yeah.
All right.
But, I mean, and honestly, I don't think – now, I'm high on Carnell Tate, a lot higher than Isaac is. I don't think this is – I'll give it to you, Colin. Ohio State is wide receiver U, and they have been.
Oh,
for the
I don't
last
need you to give it to me. We've already earned that.
6 drafts. And when we're
I
comparing these
think we're
prospects,
good.
when we're comparing these guys to Carnell Tate, it can make Carnell Take look really, really
Dude,
bad. and that's not what I'm trying to do
we got
here.
probably the best of them all coming out next year. But as I say that out loud, when you compare Carnell to other like top 5, top 6, like you compare him to Jamar Chase as a prospect coming out, Jeremiah Smith and what he's going to be next year, Marv was overrated in my opinion. I don't think he should have been picked as high as he was by the Cardinals, but I guess when you put it in that scope, I could see it. It's just I really think that Carnell is still going to end up being the wide receiver 1 for the Titans, and probably a pretty good one. Probably at the same level that Devontae Smith maybe could be with the Eagles.
So I don't think
Pretty solid top 10, top 15 range. I think he could be that.
I think he could be he's definitely going to be a top 15 wide receiver in the league. I do think. I don't think, whenever I say this, because they spent a top 4 pick on him, I don't think that Carnell is a franchise wide receiver one solution for a team like the Titans. I just don't. I
Maybe
think that
not.
he could be really good, but I don't think that he's going to have, a like you were saying, a Jamar Chase type of franchise.
Yeah, it's
You know
not
what
going
I'm
to be one
saying?
of those. It's not going to be one of those rare talents that you see, and sometimes you catch them late, like Puka Nakua's that.
Yeah,
JSN is that, by the way. And if you would have asked anybody, just surface level, like prospect wise, on draft day, I think people would have taken Carnell Tate over JSN, not knowing what we know now.
Amon-Ra St. Brown is that as well.
For sure. He was a later, what was he, 6th rounder? Anyway,
Yes.
yeah, last thing I'm going to say, draft bust. I'm gonna say Blake Miller, dude. I am not a fan of Blake Miller.
I agree.
I'm kind of happy with where he ended up being a Bears fan, but I am not. Honestly, any of these Clemson offensive linemen coming out basically since the COVID year, I'm out on. So, but Blake Miller especially, I don't think is all that good. I thought when he played real comp, he did not handle it well.
I
Agree.
mean, I don't remember a lot of games where I seen Kate Klubnik protected, and that speaks for itself.
Well, I don't remember many games where you saw Ty Simpson protected. Yeah, I'm not going to say the same thing about Caden Proctor. It's just the one-on-one, the one-on-ones themselves with Blake Miller is a lot more concerning than the one-on-ones that you see with Caden Proctor.
I will
That
tell
was
you
a
this.
whole unit issue on both teams, but part of the problem was Blake Miller in bigger games. With Alabama, I didn't really think Proctor was much of a problem.
I will tell you this about Proctor, and we'll go off to winners and losers. Proctor was the only person on our offensive line that started every single game. The rest of them were being rotated in and out all year.
Yeah, which is tough. I mean, that's always tough. And we definitely knew that being college football guys. But hey, John, if you guys don't have any other busts to talk about, I'm fine with going to winners and losers.
Yeah.
All right, I want to get back on this topic because this is my winner right here. I picked two of them. My first one, Cleveland Browns. They played the board perfectly. They traded down and still got their guy with Spencer Fanion and then grabbed Casey Conception. Already told you, he's a human highlight reel and he's got a massive injection of speed. The only thing that's going to keep Cleveland from being Cleveland is they need to give up to being good. They got Shadur Sanders. I don't like that, but I do like this. You take Shadur Sanders out of the picture. When I hear Denzel Washington, KC Concepcion, Jerry Jeudy, Quinshawn Junkins, and they just drafted Spencer Fano in the first round, love it. That team is possibly going to the playoffs if Shadur can play football. That's what's questions. I don't think Shadur's the guy for any system in the NFL.
Whoa. Okay, hold on. Man, you just said a lot right there. Okay, the Browns draft, like I said, I didn't love the KC pick. I'm not even like the biggest fan of Denzel Boston, but I see the potential with him because he's a pure X guy, and those are rare to get in the top 2 rounds like that. But the Browns did do really good in the draft. I want to make that very clear. I talked about last episode, and that got posted the day after the draft, but we recorded it before. I really like Spencer Fano. And for them to trade down and still get their pick at tackle, they knew all along that, especially if they were planning on Carnell Tate, and once he was off the board, all right, trade down and get our pick of a tackle. They knew all along it was Spencer Fano, and they knew that Francis Mauigoa would go off the board first. Incredible job being able to pick up a pick from a team in Kansas City, by the way. They did not need to trade up at all.
And I agree 100% with you. I think I just went off on a subtopic of my hate for Shadur Sanders and how I don't think he deserves to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. I got off on a
Oh
side
my
topic, and that's
gosh,
on
man.
me. That's on me.
Yeah, I would love to have that debate sometime. I'm going to save that debate.
We can do it in the next episode. I'll add him to the
remember,
players list. It makes
John
my player
Whalen.
Sure,
better.
Remember,
sure.
John.
There we go. There we go.
Hey,
Perfect,
remember, John
John.
Whalen.
Tune in to the
got-
next episode on Wednesday.
They got our boy Taylon Green. Just wait, boss. I know you're not high on him. I listened to the last episode. I know you're not. But people wanting to make the Anthony Richardson comparisons and all that, it's completely different, guys. Taylon Green started
Yeah, it's
2 to
so
3
much
years
different.
of college football. Yes, he's a freak athlete, just like Anthony Richardson. But Anthony Richardson only started 15 collegiate games in college, so it's slightly different.
Boom, there you go.
People do got to remember, Taylon Green led Arkansas to a top 10 offense in the nation. How bad that team was
Bobby
was not
Petrino.
because of their offense; it was because of their defense.
Well, one of them was a 6th round pick, and the other one was 4th overall. Like, we had less picks than rounds with
for
Anthony
sure.
Richardson.
For sure.
By the way, this
with
was
Taylon Green.
Arkansas's
So
record,
it's
2-10.
definitely worth the risk. Like, I would take Taylor. I'm not high on Taylor Green, but that's when the discussion was, could he go in the 3rd round? I'm like, I wouldn't take him in the 3rd round. I think that's too valuable of a pick, but 6th round, take a flyer on a kid like that for sure.
You're not gonna lie.
I would definitely take Taylor Green
Drew
over
Aller,
Diego Pavia every day.
Aller and Carson Beck are not as good as prospects as Taylon Green, and I'll stand on that.
I think their ceiling is much lower. I'm not a big fan of either.
I think Drew Aller is a good fit at the Steelers. I think the Steelers had a very, very bad draft.
No.
I'm on the fence about it. Sometimes I'm gonna say very good, sometimes very bad. But I don't know. I want to say it was good, but the more I think about it, Aaron Rodgers is not. It's not a Ty Simpson situation where you got Matthew Stafford who's willing to mentor somebody against Aaron Rodgers who really doesn't care to mentor anybody.
Hey, I just appreciate the Steelers for drafting Eli Heidenreich.
Yeah, that was a cool moment to see for sure. But my number one overall winner of this draft, the Raiders for sure. They got a lot of pieces, especially for depth pieces. They got their franchise guy at quarterback. And also, as a Tennessee fan, they got Gerard McCoy in the 4th round. The 4th round. If that guy is healthy, the league better pray. Because I'm telling you, he can walk in and possibly be a top 5 cornerback in the league.
I'm big on him. If you listen to me in my last episode.
So I think it's insane
I like him.
that he went in the 4th round. If he is healthy, that is a steal and a half because healthy Gerard McCoy would have been the number 1 cornerback in the draft easily.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know if he'd be better than Delane, but sure, he would be at least a top 3 corner and worth a 1st round pick. Other than, getting destroyed by Jeremiah Smith. You're welcome for that, by the way. But
hey, I just want to say, we ran man the entire game. That was not Jermod's fault. That was Tim Banks. So we'll look at that.
He definitely got smoked a little bit. Let's just be real.
Sure,
but I'll
but
give it this. Jeremiah is a stud. So
you can't play a man coverage against Jeremiah Smith. Come on, boss. You know this.
Nah. He's one of those guys. No. Yeah, I think Trevon McCoy is really good. That lasting memory is always stuck in my head. So, and he didn't really play much last year. That's definitely a big thing with him. He didn't play at all?
No, he didn't play a single game last year.
I thought he played early in the year. I could have sworn that he played early.
I
guess you would know.
He tore his ACL in January practices. So yeah, he didn't play a single game last
I thought
year.
he tried to come back and he re-aggravated it, but maybe I guess I was mistaken there.
I think you're thinking of the corner that we had transferred to Texas A&M. He got injured in the Syracuse game, and then never came back. But yeah.
I can see that. But my first winner that I had, I took the Ravens. I really liked what the Ravens did. I can't stand the Ravens, by the way, just making that point. But what they did in the draft was amazing. It was obvious that they were going to take 1A or 1A at number 14, and it was the right pick, the best guard in the draft, more than likely. But then getting a guy like Zion Young, who some people thought could sneak into the first round, 2 big body receivers in Jacoby Lane and Elijah Surratt. I really liked the potential steal in the 5th round with Chandler Rivers, a guy I was very high on going into the season. His draft stock kind of fell apart. Josh Cuevas, by the way, that fullback role, going to be very interesting, that fullback, H-back type of role. I think that was a good pick too. So ultimately, when you see what they did, they got Rayshawn Benny in the 7th round. I honestly thought Rayshawn Benny was one of the better defenders on Michigan's team last year as a Buckeye fan. So I thought that they killed it in the draft this year. Shout out to Jesse Minter there.
The Ravens. They're even giving Diego Papi a shot.
Wow.
I don't disagree
No,
with
I
that
like the
take,
Josh
Josh. I just
Davis pick a
wouldn't
lot.
call them my number one winner. That's my only thing. Is like I think there's plenty of other teams that did better in the draft, but I
I
wouldn't say
just
they did bad.
I thought that I thought that given their picks and what they had, there wasn't really much more that they could do, and I think that they made the most of that situation there.
Kind of like a 49ers situation. Now, I do think the 49ers made a big mistake in the second round, but I think they made the most of their situation too throughout the draft. But my
Is that
number
your
two
second
winner,
winner? Okay.
my number two winner, no, it was Miami Dolphins. I'm gonna give it to my Fins. I know you may disagree, and look, I just busted the top 10 general managers in NFL. The first 10 general managers that had a draft pick, they were all busts to me. But I'm gonna tell you, I think the Dolphins played the board like a fiddle. They traded back one spot and got 2 extra fifth rounders over that. As much as I love the Caleb Downs pick, and I will give it to Jerry, good pick, 2 fifth rounders is kind of overpaid. One for one spot. Dallas still got what they wanted. We got Caden Proctor. I've seen what he's been able to do. I love Caden Proctor. He's 6'6", 350-pound mountain of a man. He's a day one starter, and he will make sure Malik Willis's jersey stays clean. They were able to get receivers. They were able to get Jacob Rodriguez. So Miami needs a lot of pieces, and they were able to get a lot of guys and fill a lot of pieces, as well as were the Jets. But I really like what Miami did, and I wanted to mention them as a winner.
Yeah, I mean, my I don't think that they necessarily won the draft. I don't think that they lost, but I don't think that they won. I think that there was a lot of other positions that they needed to fill in that first round other than tackle. And taking Caden Proctor, who I mentioned was not on my big board of top 3 tackles, at pick 12 was I didn't like it. I didn't think that it was a very good pick, especially with all the needs that you need to fill on that team. So
Bro, I mean, you guys are talking about kicking him inside. He definitely should not be inside. You picked a corner who would definitely go in the second round, in the first round. You also, I mean, good with Jacob Rodriguez, but like Caleb Douglas was definitely a reach, I think. Will Kazmarek is really good for the run game, but is he really going to add a whole lot of value to be a third round pick in the receiving game? That's coming from a Buckeye fan. I will say the pick that the Dolphins absolutely nailed on. I am a big fan of Chris Bell, and I also think, too, taking a waiver on Kevin Coleman Jr., those are a couple of weapons that can make an impact for this Malik Willis experience. And I'm a Malik Willis fan, so yeah, I'm just it was an up and down draft to me. Like I like the Rodriguez pick, I like those 2 receivers, I kind of like Trey Moore. Not the biggest fan of Kyle Lewis and Michael Tapp, but later round picks. I wouldn't call him a winner. I would just say pretty average. I mean, kind of like my Bears. I would put my Bears in the same type of grouping type of area as I would the Dolphins.
I mean, I like what they did. I think we need one more receiver though, and I think all these guys we drafted are going to be a big part of the rebuild. And I honestly don't think Malik Willis is there to be a bridge quarterback. I think he's our guy, and I think he will prove that to
Well, I
us.
think he definitely could be your guy, but is there going to be a little bit of pressure there if he cannot perform because of what's around him, which is why I like those later receiver picks, because there is a higher ceiling than what they got picked at, especially Chris Bell being picked late in the third round. He definitely could turn out to be a really, really good receiver for you.
Yeah, all I got to say is pressure makes diamonds. That's all I got to say about that.
Well, I got my second winner, and this might be a little biased, but the Cowboys, the winner number 2, man. I mean, Jerry finally woke up from his 30, 40-year coma, and we got our guy in Caleb Downs. He's gonna be a stud, especially with Christian Parker as the new DC. Malachi Lawrence. Yes, I would have probably rather taken maybe Kendrick Falk or Zion Young in that position. But if you watch the tape on Malachi Lawrence, he's a pure edge rusher, and dude's got a bag. He's got a high ceiling. So I necessarily don't disagree with that pick. And then we got Burham from Michigan. He's going to be a Zach Bond type player. And I think that he has a really high ceiling at inside linebacker. So I know you hate Michigan, Bosch. It's okay.
Barham, no. Barham is your guys' Micah Parsons replacement. That's what he's going to be.
I
I
disagree.
mean, he's not going to be as good as Micah Parsons, but that's what they see there because Michigan played him on the edge a ton towards the end of the year. So, and he's marked as an edge too. I doubt he's really going to play Mike.
Well, Christian Parker already said in a press conference that he was going to be their inside linebacker. So yeah,
Interesting. I don't know if I love that then. I think that being able to be crafty with him, moving him around would be the best thing.
Do y'all got any more? You got any more winners?
Oh,
Colin?
yeah. No, I wrote down 3. I really like what the Texans did in this draft. And it's not flashy, but they did a really good job of addressing that offensive line. They did it in the offseason as well. And it came together, too. I mean, Keelan Rutledge was kind of off the radar for a first-round pick. But when they picked him, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that pick. Keelan Rutledge is a dog. He was at Middle Tennessee State, and then 2 years with Brent Key leveled up his game tremendously to where he was one of, if not the best guard in America the last couple of years. So I think that was a great pick. Caden McDonald, I thought should have went in the first round. Maybe a little bit of Buckeye bias, but he's really dominant in the middle. They were able to get him in the second round. Outside of that, it wasn't too much, but I do like the value that they got out of Wade Woodaz and Ramsey from USC. I think those 2 players have a lot of potential. They picked Aiden Fisher late too to go at linebacker, which kind of plays a lot like Henry To'o. However, I hope I said that right. And so that would be a nice guy to have behind Henry, so I really like what the Texans did, given that I think they only had like 8 picks? Yeah, 8 picks.
Yeah. I only wrote down 2 winners. That was my 2. I like the
yeah.
Browns and
I
the
don't.
Dolphins.
I
Now,
think I don't think that C.J. Stroud has any more excuses, especially with this draft that the Texans had
gosh,
coming
no.
in. Yeah, I think that this is shut up or put up year for him. So yeah,
I don't think Bryce Young has any more excuses either. He's just coming off a playoff run. It was a short playoff run in a game he probably should have won, but the Carolina Panthers did what they needed to do in free agency. And
hey,
would have been more of a fan of them drafting wide receivers.
shout out to my boy Chris
For the
Braswell.
first
I think
round.
that he's going to tear it up over there at Carolina.
I think he should come in being a 3. I think he's better than Leggett.
Isaac, you don't have another winner, or do you?
I do. I think that my third winner is the Giants. I think that especially in the later rounds, the Giants were cooking. I like the Francis Mauigoa pick. Arvell Reese at 5 is a steal, considering that he was the highest graded player in the draft. I think the Giants, especially in the NFC East, I'm more scared of the Giants right now than what I am the Eagles. I think that the Giants brought on some really good pieces.
Man, that's a take. I don't hate it, by the way. I don't hate the take, but that
was the last winner, because I'm ready to tell y'all my
loser. I got one more winner real quick. I had 3. I had 3. You said 3 of each, didn't you?
Yeah, no, yeah.
All right, well, I really like what the Titans did. We already had the Carnell Tate discussion, and that is what it is, but I thought Keldrick Falk was a really good pick with a really high ceiling. I think Anthony Hill Jr. is probably the best linebacker in the draft, in my opinion. So when their division rivals, the Colts, took a good player in C.J. Allen, I thought a slightly better one was taken here by the Titans later. And then I also liked that they addressed the interior of their offensive line, Carmen Noah coming in from Arkansas, and then 6th-round Pat Coogan has the potential to be a starting center very early in his career. Nick Singleton with the explosiveness too. Really like what the Titans did.
Well, the reason I asked you if you had one more winner, because I totally disagree with Isaac. My first loser in this draft is the New York Giants. I am worried about Jackson Dart. After the injuries he took last year, the Giants needed to surround it with absolute stars. They did do some work on the line, like you mentioned, Isaac, but they didn't get real in my opinion, they didn't get any elite playmakers. And he's just going to be able to survive out there in New York. It's going to be a long year for Dart, and I don't want to see Jackson Dart fail. I think Jackson Dart was the best quarterback out of last year's draft. and I think he is the guy for New York. But if they don't surround him with the players he needs to protect him, and he don't stop taking so many hits himself, he's just going to be another RG3. And
See,
that's as nice as I can say it.
I disagree with that. I mean, I think the Jackson Dart issue was him not sliding. That's why he got injured. I don't think that it was necessarily the O line not being able to block. They shored up some of that O line, like I said. Their main issue was secondary pieces. And I think that they got secondary pieces in the later rounds. And I think that they got some steals in there. So I disagree. I think the Giants did really well, especially in later rounds.
Yeah, I thought the Giants had a pretty decent draft, man. I mean, I'm not. They were closer to winners than losers to me. So I gotta disagree with you too, John.
But my first
They
biggest
won.
loser, I gotta hate on them a little bit. Okay, I gotta hate on them. The Philadelphia Eagles are my first losers.
They got Mekhi Lemon in the first round.
I get it. I get it. They got Mekhi Lemon in the first round. That's cool. That's great. But in the later rounds, I didn't really see anything that like I loved. And even with Mekhi Lemon in the first round, I know AJ Brown is leaving, but that wide receiver room, even if AJ Brown is gone, is still loaded. Like you have options there. I don't think you needed to get a guy like Mekhi Lemon. But even with that being said, like later rounds, they wasted a pick on Cole Payton. You know that your quarterback situation is set. You're 3 deep already.
Hold up, they brought in Cole Payton to do the tush push for Jalen because Jalen's getting sick of it.
Exactly. That's like why though? Why? You drafted
He's gonna end up playing like
you drafted a guy. You wasted a draft pick on a guy just so he could do the tush push.
Nah. Hey, they drafted a quarterback to go and play tight end, and then they also drafted a tight end that used to play quarterback.
They compared him a lot to Taysom Hill.
Hey, I do like the Cole Wisniewski pick. That was a good pick in the 7th round, and also they're the ones who got UR Bernard, that kid out of Nigeria who's 300 pounds and yet ran a sub 4.6. I mean, I'm not saying they cooked.
I get it.
But I'm saying I like the draft enough.
He's a freak athlete. That's great. But even Bosch, that combine stuff and combine numbers mean nothing. Turn on the tape. That's what we want to see.
Yeah, but he doesn't have tape. So that means they can create their own football player. This is like what you do in Madden with the creative player type of situation over here. This is what they're trying to do.
We're not playing Madden, Bosch. We're not playing Madden. This is real life, man. Come on.
Oh man.
Freaking saying go Birds for Cole Payton. What are we talking about here?
Man. Now I get what you're saying. I'm kind of with you, not gonna lie. In all seriousness, but hey, it was a fun draft. Like I'll take that.
It was,
and I do say,
if you were a Cowboys fan, I love seeing the Eagles. I will.
On the Mekhi Lemon point, right around when the Eagles did pick him at 20, the Steelers were looking at them at 21. It seemed like it was a little bit of a battle for who was going to get into the Mekhi Lemon sweepstakes. And I'm not huge on Mekhi Lemon, but there's a reason why he was in position to go and win the Biletnikoff last year, even though we know it should have been Jeremiah Smith. I digress. He's got a lot of potential, and you can't ignore that.
My issue with it is, yes, Mekhi Lemon has a lot of potential. I don't hate the player. I hate the pick because of the fact that we all know the Eagles, especially since they got Saquon Barkley, have been a run it down your throat kind of team and a play action. That's what they've been. And I just don't think a guy like Mekhi Lemon, who has a high ceiling, is going to be a very good fit in that receiver room.
Well, I mean, he's going to have to be, and they needed a receiver because I assume A.J. Brown is out the door. They're just trying to find the right trade partner.
Well, I've heard rumors that he's already bought a house in Boston.
Yeah, New England's been the loudest smoke I've heard about it. I think that the Eagles are just kind of looking for the deal to be right, trying to negotiate it. We're going to have to see. My first biggest loser is the LA Rams. I thought that they reached for a two-year bench player and Ty Simpson, and we already talked about that. We don't need to dive into that again. They reached for Max Clare, bro. Like, a second round for Max Clare was a little bit crazy to me, considering, this guy was much better in the run game later in the year than he was at Purdue. He showed his ability in the receiving game when he wasn't at Purdue, but when you're thinking about a dynamic receiving tight end, a first-year starter at quarterback, that needs to be your best friend. And it wasn't. Max Clare was not Julian Sain's best friend this past year early in the year. He just wasn't. And I remember a fourth down where he just straight up dropped the ball when Julian tried to go to him in the Texas game. So I was not a big fan. They also didn't make a huge splash. They ended up only with 5 picks. CJ Daniels was an all right pick, I guess, later. I was not a fan of the Keegan Tross pick in the 3rd round. Just the Rams didn't do it for me. They didn't move the needle. And again, I talked about this with the Ty Simpson conversation. You're trying to elevate yourself into Super Bowl champion status. I don't see what the Rams did in the draft other than, I guess, the Trent McDuffie trade, which was their 29th pick, 29th pick. Other than that, I don't see what the Rams did to move themselves closer to a Super Bowl.
So I will say this. We talked about it earlier. I like the Simpson pick. Y'all do not as much, but I understand why y'all do not. Could Simpson have been in the 2nd round? I don't know. Because the Cardinals are in need of a quarterback as well. But I will say this, I don't think I think the Rams could afford it to be the biggest loser of this draft and no consequences come out of it. I really feel like they're that Super Bowl ready that there's no real pieces that they say, hey, we need this or we're not going to go to the Super Bowl. I think they can suit up right now. And this is not my way too early Super Bowl winner prediction. Don't get it twisted.
Man.
But I think I will say they're a contender right now. And there's no missing piece that says, hey, they can't get to the big game. They can't get to the Super Bowl. It's all the pieces are there. So not going to disagree that they were losers of the draft, but I will say they could afford to take risk and be losers of the draft.
I guess, but hey, don't let them run into my Bears again, okay? We're going to get revenge. If they see us in the playoffs, we're definitely not losing that game again.
I like the Bears. I like what they did last year, but I'm more bought into the Rams than I am the Bears right now.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see. Who's your second loser, John?
The Steelers. They sat there at 21, watched tackles they needed, guys like Blake Miller, Conroe Freeland just fall off the board, and they sit there and done nothing about it. I feel like I looked at this whole draft. I think the Steelers got some big name guys, but I think they got them all at too high. And, if I'm a Steelers fan, I would be pissed off right now. The draft. We had the NFL draft in Pittsburgh, and you're going to sit there and do terrible like that in front of your fan base. I would be furious if I was a Steelers fan. You're not going to sit there on our draft on our home turf and just completely crap the bed like that.
See, I think I think the first 3 picks were definitely not great. I thought that they reached for all 3 of those guys. Indeed,
yes, I do.
Exactly. I wonder when you're talking about Ianker or Ianker, if they tried to trade down to get him or not, and they couldn't find a trade partner. But regardless, outside of those 3 first picks, which weren't great, the reason why they're not a loser to me is because I thought that they killed it late. I thought Dalen Everett was a really good value pick right there with a high ceiling. Jennings Dunker, by the way, could end up being better than some of these other tackles that we're talking about. He could be better than Ian Aker. Again, saying that name is pretty tough for me, but whatever. I think I did it right. And I like what they did with getting guys like Caden Weegan for special teams. He's strictly going to be special teams. I think Noah Kowski was a good pick. Gabriel Rubio even. And, of course, they drafted Eli Heidenreich. I love that. So I don't have him as a loser.
Now, I will say this. I only took 2 winners and 2 losers, but when y'all give me y'all's 2 losers, I do have one question for y'all. So go ahead. I mean, I think I will to piggyback off of you, Colin, and I'll let you go, Isaac. I think they reached for everybody. Every round felt like a reach to me with the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, my second biggest loser, and this might be an unpopular one, but I'm gonna say it. My second biggest loser was the Patriots. Um, you draft another tackle in the first round, praying that can fix the T-Rex arms over on the other side. But I mean, like they didn't do anything, nothing that made me say they got better. They didn't do anything. I think it was one of the more forgettable drafts of the Patriots in the past couple of years. And that's my take on
I
that.
I really like the Yakus and Reardon picks. That's the biggest holdup. I could see it. I could see the case here. They drafted Baron Morton. Like, okay. John, you got anything on that or not really?
Nah, not really. I like the Jam Miller pick in the 7th round. I do like that. I feel like Jam Miller's a solid player to give a
Oh
chance
man, I
on.
don't know about that, but I mean, hey, he's gonna be their practice squad running back or something
He
like
should have been
that.
an undrafted free agent. I'm gonna shoot you
Yeah.
straight, John. He should have been an undrafted
Well,
free
I'll
agent.
tell you the Alabama player that should have got drafted that didn't was Dante Lawson.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, Deontay
I don't
Lawson didn't get
understand why
drafted. I
he
didn't realize that. I kind of forgot
no,
about him.
he was undrafted. He ended up signing with somebody, but
I like the
I
LT
can't
Overton
remember
pick by
who.
Dallas though.
Oh yeah, LT Overton's a dog.
All right, my second loser is the Detroit Lions. Man, I already talked about Blake Miller. I don't need to dive into that more. He drafted Derek Moore. That guy is not very good. Same with Jimmy Rolder, by the way. These two Michigan boys, what are you doing drafting them? And you know what? My Chicago Bears are just going to beat you up because you drafted from Michigan's softest defense in 20 years.
Bears.
Whatever. They didn't do anything, dude. The only good pick, I guess, the 6th round pick, Skylar Gill Howard, was a pretty good pick. Outside of that, man, I'm not. Man, the Lions, don't worry me. They didn't do anything to improve their defense that really struggled last year. They didn't really do anything to move the needle as far as helping their run game that really struggled at the end of last year. And you know what? This draft just made me think the Bears are going to win that division yet again and beat the Kings of the North yet again.
So I will say this about the Lions. Would I put them as a winner? No. And would I put them as a loser? No. I think they had an average draft. I don't think the Lions are going to have a bad season as they did last year.
Yeah, based on what? Based on what? They lost their magic piece with Ben Johnson.
The talent's still there. Jared Goff's an elite quarterback. Jameer Gibbs is a great running back. They got Amon-Ra St. Brown at wide receiver. Jameson Williams. The talent's still there offensively. And, you know, I think, hot take, here's the hot take. I think that North Division is the toughest division in football.
It is.
I think the Packers can be a playoff contender year in and year out.
Wait. How is the first division ever to have every team with a winning record not the toughest division in football?
Okay. I'm not saying that it hasn't been the toughest division. I'm saying this year it's not going to be the toughest division.
By the way, boss, you got to stop talking so much crap on the Lions. I know you're a Bears fan, but my mom watches this show, and she's a big Lions fan, and she's tired of hearing all the crap talking on her Detroit teams.
Look,
hey, Mama Whalen, we're the Kings of the North. I don't really care about you Lions.
I get frustrated talking to Lions fans because they'll sit there and have the audacity to make fun of my Cowboys. Have the audacity. They have 0 Super Bowl rings in their lifetime. No Detroit Lions fan has ever seen them win a Super Bowl. And they're going to talk crap about my team? Get out of here. I don't care.
So, but let me ask you this. How do you think the Packers, this is kind of off segment a little bit, but how do you think the Packers did in the draft?
I mean, they didn't have an early round pick. I mean, so like they didn't pick until I think like second or third last in the draft. I like the Cisse pick. I mean, they do a good job usually in the draft. Jagger Burton's good player. Denai Dennis Sutton, good player. I mean, that wasn't something that I really could go on and be like, yeah, you guys kind of didn't do the best that you could. I mean, they did the best that they could.
I really-
thought.
I think
really like the
Monty
Cisse
Jackson was a good pickup too.
I really like the Cisse pick. I thought it was a really good pick.
I do
He's
too, which
undersized.
is why I kind of, as much as I would like to crap talk the Packers when it comes to the draft, even in those years that they didn't draft a receiver early, honestly, like last year, I thought that they were buying into fool's gold by drafting Matthew Golden, because I never thought Matthew Golden was going to be that great. But that's beside the point. I thought that they drafted pretty well. I mean, hey, John, you also know, by the way, Damani Jackson is pretty good. They got him in the 6th round.
How he fell to the 6th round.
Yeah, I don't even know.
I thought he would be a 4th, 5th rounder. Just like Deontay Lawson didn't get picked. I felt like he was a solid 5th rounder. There's some of these guys that are picked in the 5th round, and I understand you don't know what you're going to get out of the 5th round a lot of times. But some of these guys, Damani Jackson, Deontay Lawson, and I know I'm just naming Alabama guys because that's who I keep up with the most. But some of these guys I'd rather reach on, you know? Just like nobody reached for Diego Pavia. There's a reason behind it. Diego Pavia, his whole career is off of 2 college football games. He beat Auburn when he played for New Mexico State, and he came into Tuscaloosa this year doing the freaking kneel formation, just freaking kneeling the ball in warm-ups, and got embarrassed. Look, he's 5'8" with a 6'6" attitude and no athleticism to back it up. You want to talk about Johnny Manziel being lucky? Diego Pavia is the luckiest quarterback I've ever seen.
You got another loser for me, Isaac, because I know John only had 2.
I didn't write another loser, but I will give you another one. I know we said the Steelers, all that. I didn't necessarily like. Did we say the Dolphins?
We said them as a winner.
Did I?
No.
Oh yeah,
he
John
had him
Whalen.
as a winner.
Yeah. No, Dolphins. Dolphins are my 3rd loser. Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, John.
Yeah.
Sorry, John.
Don't worry. I'll come at you next episode. I already did my notes.
And my 3rd loser, by the way, was the Minnesota Vikings. I thought they could have got a better defensive tackle.
Forgot about this.
Caden McDonald specifically comes to mind. I also they went 2 D tackles, and honestly, I'm not even sure which one's better because I'm a big fan. Now, granted, Big Citrus, Dominique Orange from Iowa State, he's more of a nose tackle, but they picked 2 tackles. They picked Max Bredesen. They didn't move the needle for me, and really the only pick I liked was Damon Claiborne, and that's it. But they were very underwhelming, to say the least. Just had to take a jab at 2 division rivals. That's all I had to do.
Well, many of y'all may not know this, but I'm a Celtics fan, and the Celtics are now up 3-1 on the 76ers. They just beat the 76ers. So let's go.
We're talking about football here, man. Why do we got to talk about that? Like nobody.
Hey, I gotta give a
He just
shout
had
out
to
to
bring it
myself.
up. He just had to bring it up, and this
The
Dolphins lost the
so it's not gonna
draft.
change.
The Dolphins lost the draft. Stop making up for your
Jeez.
poverty franchise.
All
Poverty.
right, so thank y'all for tuning in to the Oh Hello podcast. Please subscribe to our Spotify and YouTube. Follow us on social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and thank y'all for tuning in. Also follow us on our own individual pages. We work really hard to produce great content. Toodles.
Oh, bye.